Hello guys, what's up and welcome back to my channel. So today we are going to be working together. I want to sew this beautiful gown with plain damask, but this one is a light one, not just the normal regular damask that you know. We are going to be using it to sew a beautiful short dress. I bet you are going to like the outcome at the end of the day. So tell me where you are watching me from and drop your comment in the comment section. Ask me a question if you have any question, okay? So, and do well to subscribe to the channel if you are new here, okay? Trust me, if you are new here, you're going to learn a lot from this channel, and at the end of the day, even if you are just a beginner, trust me, you're going to learn a lot, okay? We're going to be working with the following measurements. Her bust is 36, under bust is 31, waistline is waistline is 32, hip is 44, okay, shoulder is 15, then round sleeve is 14, then sleeve length is 6 and 18. I'll tell you why it's 618 when we start cutting, okay? And so we're going to be working with something like this. Remember I told you you can check my channel, and if you're a beginner you can check my channel, and I bet you're going to learn a lot of things, because I told you that whenever, if you want to really be serious in this thing, you must learn how to sketch so that you won't be having problem with the customers. Okay, I'm sorry, this is off the this thing. It's going to be like off shoulder, okay? So this is, just keep this like this. I'm coming back to that. So we're going to have a draping at the body of the, remember the gown length here, gown length is equal to 36. So we're going to have a draping at the end of the day, okay? And the sleeve is going to look like this. That's why I say it's going to be 6. That's the sleeve. So I'm going to have a draping at the end of the day here. And then another thing we are going to have here, remember we're going to use a straight dart. In order to achieve this, we are going to be needing so many things. The bust, okay? We're going to be needing the under bust. Those are vertical measurements we are going to take. We're going to take the waistline measurement. We're going to take the hip line measurement. We're going to take the gown length. These are the vertical measurements that we're going to be talking about, okay? And for horizontal measurement, we're going to take the round bust. We're going to take the round under bust. We are going to take the round waistline. We're going to take the round hip, okay? And what are the things that we're going to be making use of as far as this sewing is concerned? We're going to be making use of, we're going to be cutting, the dart we're going to be using is straight dart, okay? All right. And we're also going to be making use of the short darts at the back. So that's how, if you're a beginner, that's how you break the details in your clothes before you start sewing. It helps you a lot, especially if you are somebody that is easily overwhelmed when you see a style that you want to make. So the best way to do it is to break the things that you are going to be using so that you know where to start. I forgot to mention that still on this style now, we have a blouse and we have a skirt, okay, and we now have a sleeve. So these are the 4 parts. Then after sewing, I'll now do my draping on top of it, okay? So let's go. We're going to first of all cut out the skirt now. After cutting out the skirt, we will now proceed to cutting out the blouse, okay? Tell me where you are watching me from. We now proceed to cutting the blouse, and that's how we continue until we are done with all that we need to cut out. Okay, so This is my folding. Remember, the normal folding, you are supposed to fold into 4. So this is exactly what I just did now. So this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, and this is 4. And the first two at the front that does not have any joining is just the front of the dress. And this back one here, these two that is kind of open, or all kind of open is opened, is going to be the zip seam allowance. Okay, the half length is 18 and the gown length is 36. So what I'm going to do is to subtract 18 from 36. And when I subtract 18 from 36, I'm going to have, that means both the gown length and the blouse and the skirt, they are of equal measurement, because 18 plus 18 is going to give you 36. So the only thing that is going to make it different here is that I'm going to now add, by the time I finish taking my measurement, I'm now going to add the seam allowance I'm going to use to seal it up, because you're supposed to hem it now, depending on the method of hemming you want. If you want to sew it, you want to use hemming, or you want to use hand. So this is our 18, actual 18. So permit me to add 2-inch extra for the hemming. Okay, so that is it. Please, you can use ruler to be doing all this. I'm just using doing it this way because I've been here for a very long time. So the next thing I'm going to do now, remember we are taking the vertical measurement before we take the horizontal measurement. So the vertical measurement I'm going to take is to take the waistline to the hip line. For this, my customer, the waistline to hip line is 7.5. Okay, and this is just a knee length gown. So we're not, after that one, we're not doing anything again. So the next one you're going to do is to divide the hip by 4. Remember that we folded our clothes by 4. This is 11 because her hip line is 44. So when we divide the hip by 4, we're going to have 11. Then I'm going to add the seam allowance I'm going to use to join the cloth, which is 2 inches extra, right? So when I come down to this place now, to the base of the skirt, which is supposed to be the knee length of the skirt, I'm going to remove, whenever you're making a fitted dress, a fitted skirt. So if you want it to snatch very well, you remove like 4 inches or 3 inches from the actual hip. But for the case of this one, we just want it straight. We don't want it to be too fitted. We don't want it to be too loose. So for the case of this one, I'm just going to keep it at 42. So that means when I divide my 42 by 4, I'm going to have 10.5. Yes. And I'll add my seam allowance, which is 2 inches seam allowance. Okay. I'll take it down to the allowance I added for the folding. Then let's come to the waist. Her waistline is 32, which is 8 inches, right? Remember that we're going to add that on this thing. So I'm making it 9, right? So after making it 9, why I added that seam allowance, but by the time I hold the dart, it's going to reduce the skirt. Even though I'm not going to add that at the front, but let's still observe the normal protocol. I might trim it off when I'm joining for the front, but the back is still okay the way I did it. So I'm adding the 2-inch seam allowance, right? After adding, the next thing you're going to do is to connect it. Connect your lines and you're good to go. Please remember, you can just get French curve ruler and be using it to do this thing I'm doing. So with this, you can try making a good skirt, a fine skirt for that matter. Short, you like short ones. If you don't like short ones, you can just extend the length. So the next thing I'm going to do here now is to trim out this thing. See here, for those skirts that you see that after sewing to just be straight at the back, they probably forget to, or the person doesn't know that by the time you finish, you cut out. If you want it to snatch properly, very well, you cut out everything here. Just leave where you put your zip. When you get to this hip line, you start sloping it down. So you trim out everything here. If you want it to be very, 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 well, I mean very, very, very fitted, especially if the thing you are going to do now is to notch it. The reason I mean notch Just cut out small thing to show that this is where the zip seam allowance starts from. We are done cutting the skirt, and after cutting we are going to have 3 pieces, which is 1, 2, 3. We're going to cut out the first. Let me start from the front, then we'll now go to the back. Remember that the neck is looking somehow. The neck is looking somehow. Okay, remember the neck. So this now is like an off-shoulder dress. It's like an off-shoulder dress. The cloth is a bit technical. So what I'm going to do is that, because of that thing at the neck, I'm not going to give her that design now. I'm just going to cut out everything I need to cut out. After cutting it out, by the time I finish joining, padding my clothes, joining it, I'm now just going to go straight and cut out the other one. Okay, so let's go there. So in case you don't know how to measure the basic bodies using a straight dart, this one is straight breast cut dart. Okay, see how we're going to do it. First, what we're going to do is to first take the vertical measurement, and the vertical measurement, her shoulder to nipple is 10 inches. Remember, if you are making something like this, first thing you have to do is to get the baseline. That's where the fabric is even. So this is like our baseline, right? So we're going to now take shoulder to the nipple, which is 10 inches. What we're going to do is shoulder to underbust, which is 14, right? Then after shoulder to underbust, remember that we said that the half length is 18 inches. We're going to measure our 18 inches, which is here. Okay, I might decide to add like 1 inch extra allowance because I'm going to join it up here and join it here, right? Okay, so the next thing we're going to do now is to do the bust span. Remember, bust span is show nipple to nipple. So when you are cutting, anytime you are cutting breast cut, nipple to nipple is very, very important. So what are we going to do now? This is shoulder to the nipple, shoulder to under bust, shoulder to the half length. Okay, and this is the seam allowance. So for this one, this bust 36, her nipple to nipple is 7 inches. Okay, so I'm just going to mark 8. Why I'm using 4 inches to do it is because by the time I join the nipple to nipple to the other one with half half, I'm still going to have my 7 back. Okay, now this, how do you, this nipple to nipple, you determine it in so many ways. For this person now, she has, the bust is a bit bigger, but the body is not that big, right? So that's why I'm extending it up to 8 inches. So for this one, when you come here, whatever you do here, you remove half here. Okay, so I did 4 here, I'm going to do 3.5 here. Remember, the aim is to snatch it better. Okay, so the same 4 that I have here, I'm going to also, sorry, the same 3.5 I have here, I'm also going to have 3.5 here. Okay, so another way of doing it is just to get the center line, remove here and remove here, but I'm not doing it like that. Okay, so now that I've removed half an inch here, I'm just going to remove 1 inch here. Okay, so let's connect it together. This is going to be like this. It's going to be like this. Okay, sorry, we're supposed to touch that center line. Remember that this is a straight dart. So what I'm supposed to have at the base, because I'm just going straight, I forgot what I'm supposed to have at the base of this thing is 4 inches and just a little seam allowance. Okay, so I'll come here again. Remember that this is the center line. I will go in by 1 inch or 1.5, depending on how busty the person is. If the person is very busty, you do this thing, you extend it more. So I'm done with this calculation now. I'll take it again in case if you're confused. This is 4 inches for the nipple to nipple, and this is 3.5 for the underbutt because we want it to come closer, and this is 3.5 also because we want the waistline to snatch properly, right? Now when it's assumed that I took these 4 inches down, straight line, right? Now that I've taken it down, the next thing to consider is how do I snatch the underbust so that the bust will be visible, right? So I remove something here, I remove something here. So whatever you are removing here is dependent on how snatched you want it to be, right? So it's assumed that I remove like 1 inch here and 1.5 here. You can remove more than that if the person you are sewing for is very busty. If the person is not busty, whatever I did here is still very sufficient. You can remove the total of what you remove here is 1.5. You can remove total here 1 inch. If you want it to look like an English wear, you don't want it to snatch very well, but you just want that line to show and you want it to show like you gave it a breast cut. You can use 1 inch here. If person is bustier, you can use 2.5, 3 inches, depending on if somebody can be very busty and very skinny under bust, you can use as big as 3.5 inches. Drop your question in the comment section and give this video a thumbs up, okay? So I believe we are learning. So what I'm going to do here, like I said, okay, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to cut out this thing the way it is now. I prefer, especially if you are sewing freehand method, I always prefer by the time I finish joining this thing, I'll cut out the lining the same way I just cut now. After joining everything, I want to come and trim whatever I am trimming. With that, you won't have any problem. Your clothes will just align properly. But if I now do let me come and start giving all those design after cutting it, you find that I'm going to run into error. If you're a beginner, please after cutting, remember to notch here and notch here so that while you are notching is for you to know which one is which. So you don't go and invert it while you are sewing. So I'm done with the front one. See it? So I'm just going to pad it. After padding, you know what we use to pad now? Okay, I'm here to drop a video on all those ones, but I'm still going to do them. So we're going to pad. After padding, we'll join here. I want to make this bad bodies very simple, the back one. So I'm just going to use a straight short dart for that matter, okay? So remember that the back side is not always equal with the front one, right? If you are taking a measurement, always take the back half length and the front half length. Reason why the front one is longer is because of the breast, right? So now the front half length is for this person I'm making clothes for now is 18. So the back half length is 16.5. I'm going to do is 17 because of the seam allowance, okay? Remember that if you do not get the back half length proper, one of the implications is that it will, when you put zip, it will be folding at the back. So when you finish sewing and your zip is folding at the back, just know that you are cutting it equal. The back half length and the front half length, you are making them to be equal. So at the end of the day, because they are not equal, the zip will be folding at the back. But once you cut out whatever is supposed to cut out, you see how it's going to align. You just snatch your clothes. Okay, so the next one I'm going to do here now is to cut out for the back, because I'm not going to join anything. There's no significant thing I'm joining at the back. So I'm just going to do the normal measurements. So the shoulder is 8 inches. Okay, when I made it 8, remember I said the shoulder is 15 before. That's when I divide shoulder by 2. I'm going to have 7.5. But why I'm doing 8 inches is because I'm going to join something now. We're attaching sleeve to this clothes. So that's why I'm making it 8 inches. Okay, the half, I'm going to use it to attach the sleeve. So now, after cutting the shoulder, why I did not get the baseline here is because this material is already slanted. So I won't need much work here. I'll just follow the slant material and just draw my line. So we don't need to labor too much here, right? You see how it's slanted. So I'm just going to do 8 inches here. Remember, I've dropped a video on the basic bodies. I don't know if it's yet to drop anywhere, but then I've dropped a video on how to cut your armhole. You can check it out. The back own is going to be like block neck. So the block neck is starting at 6 inches. Okay, so I'm coming down by 5.5. I'm coming down by 5.5. Okay, depending on the style you're making, you can choose to come down by 6, 7. It depends on what your customers want or what you want if you're doing for yourself. So this is how the back is going to look like. So I'm going to cut out the hand. Remember that our sleeve is 18. Well, we are slanting by 6 inches. That's like funnel. We're going down by 6 inches. The next thing I'm going to do now is to measure my this thing, which is here. Okay, remember in that sleeve cap you can use between 4 inches to 5.5. For this one now, I'm going to use 4.5 inches. That's where the bicep will begin from. This is 4.5 inches. This is my bicep line. This is 4. I'll just slant it like this. But I've done a very good video on how to cut your sleeve. Okay, I'll measure out. This is 14. This is 14. And this, because I don't want it to be too fitted. I want this dress to have ease. That's why I'm giving it all this plenty allowance. Okay, so from this sleeve cap, I'm going to measure out 7 inches. Remember that what we are making is a funnel like sleeve. I'm going to measure out 7 inches. From that 7 inches, I'm going to slant it this way. Now let's see where I'm going to